never stops.
Oh, no doubt about it. Dan Swede with Hydrochem Systems here at GFL Environmental in Toronto. Going over training on their new trash bin cleaning system. Typically, very basic power plant. It all starts from the Vanguard twin cylinder. This is a 896cc big block Vanguard, 31 horse, kind of above and beyond, almost 40% more horsepower than a smaller Honda. Getting a lot more cleaning power, pressure flow at the cleaning head than at the nozzle. To do that, we had to go to a real extreme heavy duty cleaning head, not the little mini ones, you know.
Yep.
They just didn't hold up for us at all. And they're not cheap, so you don't want to be replacing that on a regular basis, you know. So, an air-cooled engine, you definitely need airflow going across. That's equivalent to a radiator, obviously, you know that. And there's only 2 quarts of oil in the engine. We recommend a synthetic oil. Average operating temperature of the engine is around 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So it gets hot.
Yep.
And 2 quarts of oil, we do recommend, there's an hour meter on here. We do recommend every 50-hour oil change. You can go every 100. It just depends on your intervals and how long and how hot you're running it, etc. Because it's only 2 quarts of oil, it's reasonable enough to change out.
Right.
Some guys will do the filter and oil at 100 and only oil every 50. But most time, if you have it on that schedule, it'll give you a day or two if it's out in the field or something else we're running to kind of still get to it. Standard fuel line fuel filter on the end, air filter up at the top. Your dipstick's back here along with the fill. And choke, you don't need to over choke these engines. They start pretty easily. Electric start engine. Oil filter is on the left here, I mean. And we got these little drain hoses attached to drain valves, so you don't have just a drain plug to drip all over the place, so it's easy to change and maintain it. Typically it is electric start engine, so like any other pressure washer, it could deadhead when you don't release the pressure somewhere on the trigger gun or on the ball valve. What we've done on the ball valve manifold on the side there is there's a bypass valve. It's strictly there for starting the engine. If you just shut the gun off or the cleaning head off, we have another built-in cool bypass that allows cold water back to the supply tank, so it's not going to harm. As long as there's water in the tank, you're going to be able to bypass back to the tank. I don't like you guys misunderstand that bypass. It's all going to take a smoke break, crank that bypass open, and allow hot water back to the water tank. Because that's going back to the supply tank. Then you got hot water that you're superheating non-stop. It's a no-no. You may just end up cracking a tank. So bottom line is that bypass is strictly really designed to keep the pressure in the engine. And make sure it's on without the burner on. Some guys will use it to cool the machine down at the end of the day or the end of the shift, where they're turn the burner off, open the bypass for a minute, but now the burner's off, so it's still no. Yeah, I mean it'll be warm water till it cools down, but it only takes about a minute to actually cool off there. And belt-driven pump, triplex sponge pump, real industrial grade pump. You just pump oil in here, fill it up to the fill level here, the red dot. And you know it's full of sight glass, so it's real easy to keep an eye on. You have a onboard peaks out at 3,200 watt onboard generator, 115 volt. That's also belt driven. This is pump belt driven. That is actually providing voltage to the 115 volt burner, which are the best ones you can buy compared to 12 volt burners. 115 volt diesel fired high efficiency burner. High heat, this is a double insulated heating coil. Heating coil is about 70 foot longer than a traditional heating coil inside there. The coil is just a 1/2 inch steel pipe, schedule 80. It's all robotic welded. We get about 40% higher burst pressure rating on these coils than we did before they started robotically welding them. Okay. Deeper penetration is in an atmosphere. It's not like humidity and everything else doesn't really affect the robotic weld the way they do on piping. Having the high efficiency, the extra coil, the burner, typically you should be able to run right around 1.5 gallons of diesel an hour. That's like one of your trucks out here getting 120 miles to the gallon. It's just insane to have a 600,000 BTU diesel fire burner that's not pumping 6 gallons, 4, 5, 6 gallons of diesel every hour. That could save the company, well, up here probably $2,000 a month on diesel fuel. It really is nice. It's just oversized, insulated, like a well-insulated home in the winter. Big furnace, great insulation. Other tricks of the trade allow it just to, your furnace doesn't run 24/7. Some of the mini ones, they may not break 140 degrees, 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So contractors mistakenly set them at a higher temp, like 180, 190. If it never reaches that temperature, that burner doesn't turn off because it's never cycling. These cycle all the time, and that's why we still have big fuel nozzles where we could produce that much fuel. It's the efficiency of it running and having the insulation kick over. Stainless steel frame and housing and burner housing and control panels and all the heat shields. You do have your muffler pipe here. They're talking where you could take, I'm going to crank that on, and take the flapper off and slide a hose on here. Allow you to extend this outside the building if you want the gasoline engine fumes to go out there. One thing real nice, the pump rail here, I'll zoom in on that, it's kind of a neat feature. You loosen these few nuts on the pump, right down in here. Oh yeah. You got a tensioner bolt on the outside here.
Okay.
Boom, boom. Everything stays aligned. If you ever try to adjust a belt or like a pressure washer pump, and you need like 3 hands, 2 guys, just trying to line up the pump and get it, because it's saddled over that frame.
Right.
There's no perfect alignment. It also means longer belt life on there. A lot longer belt life in that nature because it's not twisting and having to readjust. All the heat shields have like capture nuts, so you can zip from the top. Every other one, you almost have to unbolt the power washer, lift it off the ground to get to the bolts underneath. It's a real project. So you see on the mechanic mentality, of this all, it really is designed for you to work on it and be quick and easy.
Good.
Typically, you got an 18-gallon diesel tank. It's white. 18-gallon gasoline tank. It's black. I don't know why it's not red. I love the old red tank. Something to do with carbon emissions, I believe. You do have the brushless generator, one of the only ones that really are brushless industrial grade. The ones with brushes are like the Home Depot, $300 and you get an engine attached to it.
Yeah.
These are triple that without the engine. It's just real industrial, so you can run them. And the generator is powering into the control box. The control box has the thermostat and on-off for the burner, hour meter. So your burner's running off of that. It also has 2 additional plugs here, which are lighted, so you can tell me, just say, Dan, vacuum's not running, started the engine, oh yeah, both lights are on the plugs, you got power coming to the box. If not, it could be a belt, you know what I mean? So a nice, tiny little diagnostic thing to add on to it. Both plugs are 115 volt. They have a ground fault circuit interrupter, just like you'd have in like a kitchen or a bathroom.
Right.
Normally if it pops, you'll see a red light, you just know to reset it. Normally I have to pull both plugs out just to get to both reset, button on there, so that's quick and easy. Application on there. You do have, breakers here for the burner. Let me see here. 12 volt, we gave you 1,000 cold cranking amp deep cycle battery in there. We run the main power kill switch. You pull that off, nothing works. The engine will not start. Vacuum, the lifters will not drop down, so you're not going to have somebody dropping a lifter onto a parked cart as a joke or something like that. So this nice safety device on there. We also have your strobe light on the top. So you got strobe safety, and in the back of the trailer you got yellow amber light safety lights on the trailer. You can reset the pattern. You just have to kind of go in there and kind of re-hit the ground. It's like 12 different ones, but this one seems to be the most popular on there. Next here you have a winterizing tank. Come winter, in order to winterize the pump, the heating coil, and everything, it'll take them about a minute in order to really go ahead and winterize that. And there's a three-way valve next to the tank that allows you to go from supply tank to winterizing tank. And once you winterize, it's a good idea to put it back to the supply tank. If not, you'll suck down your next tank of winterizing solution. We normally use an RV 50 below zero type winterizing solution. Let me see here. You do have a pressure gauge on the panel, your nozzle rack up on there. This is your suction hose coming in from the side where the antifreeze tank and your supply line there, the strainer filter there. I think pretty much on this side of the trailer we're about done. Let me come around and let me make sure I do a little less acrobatics on this side. At least it wasn't videotaped. That's the only good part. These are really getting into the nuts and bolts or the safety devices on here. Okay. Right now this is your supply line hose. And then this is the winterizing line. So when you switch this over to here, I'm going to be drawing winterizing solution from the tank. You only get about 2 minutes out of it, 20 gallons, 9 gallons a minute each. It takes you about a minute to winterize, so you got to be kind of quick on the winterizing. It's just a matter of starting the engine, have the bypass in the back open when you see your winterizing solution, which is like pink, you know, and this stuff. Come up, you let a little go back to your supply tank. Prior to doing that, you empty both the supply and recovery tank and the hopper. You drain all the water out. This is going to become your supply tank at that time. So you'll run that through. As it sucks in, it'll suck through the pump head, through the heating coil, out both high pressure lines. One goes to this reel, one goes to the manifold by the cleaning heads, and everything's run through there. So once you kind of get it started and it gets to that manifold, it's already through the coil and all. And you can just go ahead and start to do your left head, shut that off, right head. It takes about 5-10 seconds because the solution's already in the manifold. It's just like 10 foot to the head and all. Make sure they're both winterized, shut them down. You can normally blow out your hoses on the reels and everything. So you got high pressure lines. This has a shut off valve, so if you weren't using the upper reel here during the winter, you could just shut this off, and that'll allow you to not have to winterize it. Just blow air through it, isolate that. But if you do have it, most of the time having a little a shop compressor in there or something, just blow air through here, blow air through the hose reel and the back reel, and you should be good to go on winterizing. Go back to the power washer and its safety devices. This is a green string unloader. It's probably going to close on me anyway. Green string unloader here, pressure regulator. Okay. This is what's bypassing the water back to the tank. So this is what we call a cool bypass. Anytime we shut the gun off, the head's off, it's going to automatically open up the port and let low pressure water will pop back to the tank. That's critical is cold water, so just circulating. It's not going to be an issue on that. So that unloader valve, the pressure switch, no pressure, no heat. So because anytime you superheat a heating coil in an enclosed chamber, you can build up steam pressure. It could hit. They stage a little electric powered mini hot water power washer. Steam explosion. They took the safety devices off. They let the coil superheat. It was a 1,000-pound pressure washer. It hit 14,000 PSI before the whole machine blew apart like it had to stick a dynamite or two in it. So you definitely want all these redundant safety devices. That's why you got a spare parts kit with them all. And don't Mickey Mouse and try to bypass. You don't want to go the wrong direction. So typically pressure switch, flow switch. This will sense actually the flow flowing through the unloader into the heating coil and out the unit. So if there's no flow, there's no heat.
Right.
So no pressure, no flow. You got a burst relief valve back here. That's for the pump. So if the pump was like somebody cranked on the unloader, there's a safety device to prevent it from exceeding like 4,300 PSI range on there. So that's all built in. What's nice about that cluster, it's on a JIC fitting. So if you need to work on it or somebody needs to work on it, they break these two fittings apart. It's literally 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Now you got everything in your hand. You can swing out the unloader. You could pressure switch, flow switch, whatever you need to work on. That, like I said, when it comes to mechanics love this, you know.
Yeah.
It makes it just easier, more common sense involved here. The other safety device, moving on up. Now you have a thermostat control. So most power washers have either a high limit switch that's set at 210 degrees or an adjustable thermostat, which is still a high limit switch, prevents it from exceeding a certain temperature, but actually runs and operates through there. And the probe, this is the wire here for it, and the probe goes into the high pressure hot water side. So that's your probe for that. That normally shuts off your fuel solenoid, so no fuel. The other ones do your electrical shutdown, like spark.
Yep.
So you got redundant safety devices, but shutting down fuel and spark independently. So, you know, it's we're an employee-owned company. We want to make sure we still have it. A couple extra safety devices for us. You know, it's just common sense. You also have a steam burst relief valve. I'll kind of get it in there a little bit and show you that. Of course, you can barely ever see the screen. I'm assuming it's right. Steam burst relief valve with this barb fitting here. We have it in the spare parts kit so we can double check. What that does is it's an 8,000 PSI burst. So this is steam pressure, not water pressure anymore. So if that ever superheats, say they had electrical fire or fuel fire or some little weird, something happened with a malfunction, and it was going to superheat, this actual burst diaphragm will pop off. It ruptures the disc inside. If you're in the field, the guy they're cleaning like flat work or different things, and they're driving and walking down a sidewalk, sometimes they suck air, and you might get a quick steam explosion, you know, steam bubble in there. That could have an intermediate 1 year pop off, or you could have a legitimate issue. What I always recommend is take the spare one, replace it, make sure the tank is full, go back normal operation. It pops again, shut it down and find out why. But otherwise, it is a beyond safety device. I mean, it's really a critical component. To meet California carbon emissions, we do also have these carbon filters. They're for the EPA environmental. In order to get an 18-gallon gas tank, we had to put 2 carbon filters on there, of course. I've never heard them needing to be replaced yet. I may be wrong, but right now I have never had it come back to me with that being an issue. The other thing I can tell you that we found out kind of the hard way a little bit. Don't run winterized gasoline and winterized diesel during the spring, summer. When it starts to get warmer, You got to make sure, even if they got to bring you a drum of it or something, make sure you've got, you know, standard gasoline, but not winterized. It has doesn't burn very well on a burner system. Gas engine, we actually had issues where we went to a trade show in Las Vegas with 98 degrees out. This was like a month and a half ago.
Right.
And we had some winterized gas, which was weird because we bought it at the end of April at a gas station. So they still had winterized gas in the tank.
Right.
And we ran there and we had kind of like a vapor fuel on. It drove us absolutely insane. And the worst part is normally we don't fill them up all the way, but we had training demos scheduled after the show. So we decided that
let's fill it up.
if we would have used local fuel, even with a little gas in there, it wouldn't have been a problem because they're never going to see winterized fuel in Las Vegas, you know?
Yeah.
So just a heads up, I mean, really weird. I've been doing this for 32 years, and that was the first time I really seen the effects of winterized diesel and gas.
Yeah. Huh.
And also on the burner too, it really does run better on, you know, standard diesel. It just, that's what it's calibrated for and designed for. As you can see, we do have a strainer filter, 80 mesh. You can shut the valve off, which is nice, unscrew it, clean and maintain this filter without draining the whole water tank. But otherwise it should be in the up position. If somebody done that, I got no water, make sure that, you know, they check to make sure that this is in the up position to allow the water to flow through. That goes to the supply tank, which is on the left side of the trailer. And, I'm sorry, the right hand side there. Driver's side, it's easier to call it that way, depends on which side of the front or back of the trailer you're on. These are our Haney hose reels, pretty much known as the best in the industry. They have hose reel guides on them, lock pins. Up on the top, you do have a drag brake, so you can have it off completely for unrolling. You can have it at light spring pressure, or you can pull it all the way back and get more tension. That keeps it like a fishing rod from unscrolling and all that. So it's a nice, so if they have a tight time, you know, it might just need to be in the middle position on there. Handles, so when they're greasy, grimy, nasty felt, they don't have to get so dirty. All your couplings and fittings are all stainless steel on the quick disconnects. Your gun and wand have a quick disconnect here too, so you can take the wand off and go to shorter, longer wand, whatever you want. That's your inlet hose reel, so you hook this to your water supply. 3/4 inch, it has a Hudson valve float in there, so it will shut down automatically when it's full. You don't have to worry about overflowing. Hand crank reels. You have super swivels, which are the best. In this case, we're still running the 1-inch super swivel on both lines. You have quick disconnect here. That's your downstream injector right here. So in order to really get any kind of soap through a true 9 gallon a minute hot water power washer, through the heating coil, through 200 foot of hose, we had to come up with a massive downstream injector assembly. This does work. It gives you more pressure than you can imagine. Most downstream injectors, you're lucky to get 40 pounds of pressure out the nozzle. It'll probably give you closer to 400 pounds of pressure. So it actually will aid in your cleaning of the, you know, heavy equipment trucks if you go through downstreaming. And the other thing is, if you look through there, I mean, you can barely see sunlight. There's a tiny little hole in there.
Oh yeah.
That creates the suction, the venturi. The reason I put all the extra money in the quick disconnects is if you had a big cleaning job where you're cleaning up the shop floor or concrete area, whatever, you could take this out and just bypass it. This will connect right to here, and that way this drops your flow down to about 6.5 gallons a minute from 9. So if you need a lot of cleaning power in that, tracks on heavy equipment or something like that, or anything by the yard, you can pull that off and connect. Just take it online after you degrease or clean, and you'll get more cleaning power. It's almost 2.5 times more powerful. That's why the typical, they claim these 8-gallon Honda powered, if they have a generator on them, they're normally lucky to get 6.5 out of them. So in general, like I said, connect an adapter with an air chuck here, adapter with an air chuck here, and blow out all your lines. That way you don't have to winterize the line. Now if you're in an area where you can't get to an air compressor, you can run a winterizing solution through that. It's not going to be too bad. Alright, pretty much done on this side here. We'll go to the other side and then we'll do the back side of it. We'll introduce everything internally. You have any questions about anything yet?
No, not yet.
Pretty straightforward stuff so far.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna be moving this anytime soon?
No.
You need to get out?
You need to get out? No problem.
Alright.
We can move if you want to fire it up, Wayne. We'll move and then you can pull out.
I'm gonna go get my
Alright, we'll fire it up.
gauge.
We'll move. You can pull out here and then we got to carry on with what we're doing.
Okay.
Alright?
Yeah,